Hello, hello. I'm gonna give people a moment or two to start hopping on. So I think in the old Facebook, I could see when people are hopping on just automatically, but if you are, hello. Hi, Carol. Thanks for saying hello. We're just getting started. I'm great. How are you? Hi, Kay. Thanks for hopping on. So exciting. And so I didn't even realize when I planned this, at least not consciously, that today was also a full moon. So it's kind of pretty perfect. Hi, Sherry. Hello, hello. So yeah, so it's pretty perfect that we're also starting this on a full moon. So hi, Sylvia. All right, I'm gonna give people you're great, thank you. Give people, I'm just gonna give a couple minutes, let a couple more people hop on. And so just, I guess for a moment while I'm waiting for people to hop on, just wondering, curious if people are hopping on, if you've heard of archetypes in some way before, and if you think you might know any of your archetypes. I know, Sherry, I responded to you the other day under one of your posts, some archetypes came through. Hi, Rep. Hello. Oh yes, the full moon, yes, fabulous. Plus we're in the middle of the Lionsgate portal, which started, I don't know, July 27, 26, and it goes to a little bit past 8/8. I think it goes till the 11th. So, all right, well, I'm going to get started, and I'm going to remember this time to scroll down. Hi, Anna. Hi, Mary. All right. So sometimes when I've gone on lives, then I forget to scroll down. God, grandbabies, yeah, okay. We'll see. You can always watch the replay after. So if anybody can't watch the whole thing, you can always watch the replay. If you're signed up, you get it sent to your email. So, all right. Hi, Ramandeep. Hi. So thanks for coming on live, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys that are watching live and anybody that's watching it later as well. So today is day one of Discover Your Archetypes. Let me just get into my notes here. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nancy Anger. I'm an intuitive coach and a master energy healer. And I'm also the founder of Embrace Your Archetypes, the sacred keys to awaken your highest purpose and potential in your life and business. So I'm so excited to be here and sharing this powerful information to help you discover how the archetypes are at play in your life. And they are at play in so many ways that people often really don't even realize. They're really, the archetypes are, most people's archetypes are just running in the background unconsciously. And until we start to become aware of them, then when we start to become aware of them, we empower them, right? I mean, we all kind of might have an archetype or two that we really know. For example, I knew early on that I was a teacher, which is the guide archetype, but I didn't really know that it was an archetype. And anyways, these affect every area of your life: business, relationships, love, your health, even your money. And there's a couple reasons why I'm wanted to share and bring this masterclass to you. One of them is because, first of all, if you're in this group or you've been in for a while, you know that probably can tell that I love to teach. I love to share. I love to learn. It's my master archetype. And I love to share and guide and just share information that comes through me, and that just feeds my soul. It feels really good. And so, and I've also come to see, as I started working with the archetypes 10 years ago, and I've really come to see the impact that it's made on my life and the lives of people around me. So the more you understand your own archetypes or archetypes of other people, it's really pretty cool, actually. And so I started realizing a couple of years ago, and with a little nudge from my coach too, that really archetypes is really one of my things. I love talking about them, sharing about them, and so as I said, the second reason is that I'm getting ready, or just now opening the doors to my signature course, Embrace Your Archetypes, the sacred keys to awaken your higher purpose and potential in your life and business. So I'll be sharing about that a little bit more later on, and I'm excited. So anyway, so I've really seen, just by knowing even just one of your archetypes really helps to unlock your potential and understand more of your soul purpose. So we have the way, like I've studied the work of Carolyn Mace, and Carl Jung is kind of one of the primary people that started talking about archetypes in this way that I'm going to talk about them today. But right now it's so important. We're in a time of going deeper and deeper, shifting and clearing out the old stuff, the old stories, the old things that many of us have. And many of us have blocked parts of ourselves, and some of it knowingly and some unknowingly, right? Which is part of our archetypes, that we may have said, you're not very convenient, or I don't understand you on some level. So it's time to really become more unconscious, and to really welcome all of ourselves, right? And more of us, especially light workers or way showers, we're also feeling called to do more and more meaningful work or purposeful work. Sometimes the things that may have satisfied us on a certain level are now, it's like we want to go deeper and really live more meaningful lives. And a lot of that, I feel, is really this, it's like this wake-up call, this dream, this passion, this something that you may have felt throughout your whole life. And now it's like being called more into action. And so the archetypes are a way to start to understand that a little bit more. They're like tools that can help you understand, oh wait, there's a reason why I feel inspired by this, or I love this so much. Like another person, there are probably things, like I know in my family, like that my husband might not understand certain parts of me. It's like, I don't get that part about you. I really don't know, but I respect and I see that that's a part of you. So those are all part of our archetypal makeup. So what are the archetypes in a nutshell? Really simply, they're kind of a universally understood description of something. For example, like when you say a queen, an image of a queen will come to mind, which, by the way, that is one of my primary archetypes. Or a teacher, you get there's an universally understood description. So that means that people will tend to get a picture or a thought in their mind. And the other thing is that the archetype, the descriptions evolve over time. So a couple of years ago, when I started wanting to work with the archetypes in a more group setting to teach, to reach, because I work with friends and family, I talk about the archetypes all the time, but also I work with clients a lot, and now I'm wanting to really, more and more the past couple of years, to bring them into bigger groups of people. Hi, Sherry. So as I bring them forward into more groups of people, I just lost my train of thought. What was I just going to say? Okay, the universal description. Okay, all right, I lost my train of thought for a moment there. It will come back. Okay, about archetypes evolving over time. It'll come back. All right, so anyway, so I know what I was going to say. So if you look at an archetype, like say the mother archetype, and by the way, if you are a mother, it doesn't mean you necessarily have the mother as one of your primary 12. I honestly don't call that as one of my primary 12, even though I loved being a mother. I still love being a mother. I was a stay-at-home mother. I can identify it as that. But when you have children, you're more likely to be influenced by the mother archetype. But some people have a very strong mother archetype. The other there was something else. Oh, the other thing I was talking about, evolved archetypes, right? So a few years ago when I started looking up, like, what is the description in the dictionary, the online dictionary, right? Because most people don't have the physical dictionary. And I looked up the description of queen, and it said the wife of a king. And I was like, what? I was like, wow, this is pretty archaic, because first of all, I have the queen archetype. And second of all, I'm not married to a king. My husband has the knight archetype and the father and a bunch of others. And I did not become a queen because I'm married to a king. I am a queen already, and it's not relevant to that. And there were some other ones I looked up that I'm like, these descriptions are a bit antiquated. So we are always evolving these archetypes. And sometimes when they are written descriptions, right, they can have a little bit of lag time, I think. So when you think of the mother archetype also, like if you went back 100 years, there was no Mr. Mom archetype. So the archetypes have flavors within them. So there are different kinds of mothers, and that can include, a guy can have a Mr. Mom archetype. So just because an archetype sounds more female or more male, different people may relate to different ones. So you don't want to bypass it if you feel drawn to something more than another. I know a woman that has the king archetype. So we're going to get into a little bit more how to uncover your archetypes tomorrow, but today we're going to kind of just start to look a little deeper at like how they're really here to help us. So I've always been curious about the people and the way things work with the different connections. And so when I went to energy medicine school 10 years ago, that's when I first started learning about the archetypes. And like I said, I always knew on some level that I had the teacher archetype, and other people will see our archetypes in us as well, even if they don't quite know the label of it per se. Like one of the clients that was in my last course that I just taught, the archetypes course, she's like, is there a shapeshifter? She said, because my husband and my brother-in-law or something tell me I have the ability to, I just like change what I look like all the time. And so we'll learn later on, there is, the language of the archetypes is all around us when you start to learn how to uncover it. So when I started learning about the archetypes 10 years ago, I had not heard of them before. But as I started as part of my schooling, it was to uncover my own 12 primary archetypes in my chart, and it was very interesting. One of the first ones that got uncovered for me was the queen, as I said. And I remember my classmates, because sometimes we don't always see things within ourselves, but then once it gets pointed out, it starts to become obvious. And one of my classmates said, oh, you have the queen archetype, and or a bunch of them were figuring it out. We were in a big circle, and I was like, I don't know. I need to really sit with that. I did not really feel it right away. And the interesting thing was, at the time I had a business, a yoga and wellness center, and I remember thinking, it started from teaching in the basement of a church, and I grew it over time. And I remember thinking, how did a stay-at-home hermit mother like me get here? And I don't have the hermit, but I'm kind of an introvert. And then I realized when I found out I had the queen archetype, a lot of things started to make a lot of sense. And so that was very powerful. And it took a little bit for me, though, to let it soak in. Because sometimes we don't see our own archetypes right away. But one of my friends said, yeah, remember how you said you stand off your back little balcony on your second floor master bedroom, and you talk about surveying the kingdom? So yes, it's always hidden in plain sight, I find. So anyways, so 3 years I was in energy medicine school. In the 4th year, I became a teacher's assistant. And so I started helping a lot of the other students. I helped my classmates in the first 3 years. And then the 4th year, I also started helping and teaching the students how to find their archetypes. And so I just started to really fall in love with it over time, because it became a natural part of my life to just start to see people's archetypes. It would just like pop out to me. Even for myself, when I started figuring out my archetypes, where I was like, I think I have the guide. And the next day I went and saw someone and she put her hands on my shoulders and she said, Nancy, you are my guide. So, but I remember really realizing how powerful they were. I remember having breakfast several years ago with a friend of mine, and we were talking, and I was talking about something going on in my life, and I could see that she was like feeling a little worried for me. And I said, Judy, I said, I feel like you have the mother archetype. And she looked at me and she said, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me that, because I was just sitting here feeling so weird because I was feeling like I wanted to mother you. So it's so powerful. It's like an affirmation. Yes, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's like an affirmation. Or I remember, this is popping into my head, I had a guy client several years ago. He was 74 years old, and I remember like him feeling frustrated about some things, and it came through very clearly that he had the warrior archetype. And I said, and I said his name, I said, sometimes people that have the warrior, they just want to kill shit. So it like really kind of gives you permission to be yourself and understand why you're yourself. And especially, sometimes growing up or different things, we all, probably most of us, I can say, I'll speak for myself, have parts of myself that was like, I don't know, is it okay that I want this, or that I feel this, or I have this desire to do this? Like I have the athlete and the adventurer archetype, and I will say I haven't questioned this thing that I'm going to share, but my athlete and adventurer does, like, into my 50s, has done some stuff that other people might go, that's inspirational, and some people might go, that's crazy. But like a few years ago I took flying trapeze classes, and that just lit my soul up. So it's like, really, what lights up your soul? Because it's going to be different than, what lights up your soul is going to be different than anybody else. But so when I shared that story with my friend Judy, when I saw her mother archetype, I was like, one of those pivotal moments where I really understood how powerful it was to share, and their power to help other people understand themselves at a whole new level. So so I think of your archetypes. There's people have different ways to look at them. One of the things I see them, though, they're kind of like your special gifts or your tools, or you can think of them like a little kid, which I like that your toys that you can take out and use. And you can do it in different ways, like whatever feels fun to you. Like I just said, that flying trapeze, that was like, ooh, that feels really fun, and that excited me, and that's the thing that lets me know that something's coming through from a deeper soul level. But so different ones will show up at different times or more strongly, and for many people, like sometimes we develop certain parts of ourselves more, and others not as much. But the thing is, when you start to develop a relationship with them, you get to know them, and you start to evolve them and start to work with them. And a lot of times people you might not even realize what a gift they are, because they are often parts of you that come so naturally to you. So there's no one way to play with any specific archetype. Everyone has your special blend, the ones that I feel like we chose, or you chose before you were born and even came into the body. And that is like the perfect toolbox for you to have your mission, right? If you were going to go on a trip somewhere, right? You would pack everything you need, the clothes, the outfits, the whatever you're going to need to do what you're going to do on your trip. It's the same thing with our archetypes, right? Our mission, our purpose, whatever our deeper intention. But then we have free will, and we live in this human body, and we have, we can express and explore them in so many different ways. And it can be an inspiration where, like, we're here to teach and inform and inspire each other. But as you start to, our archetypes are affected by other influences in our life too, like the choices that we make, the people around you in your life, the experiences, your translation of them. But I'm sure you know, the more when you act with really more deliberately, it's so much more powerful when there's more intention. And it's the same when you notice your archetypes and you start to play with them and use them, explore them. And so that word intention, it's very powerful in starting to understand too about the archetypes with intention. Because on the outside, things can look very similar. Like I have the adventurer archetype, and maybe someone might have the explorer archetype, and then the pioneer archetype. But those they might do the same action at some point. Like, you know, I might go off on an adventure to like the desert or something, and maybe there's the pioneer and I have the adventure, but maybe the pioneer wants to go off, but they're going to seek something that no one else has sought before in that desert. And the explorer is just going to go along for the sake of exploring. So each one, so it's like, what is the underlying intention? And that's really a very powerful thing too, to start to understand. When you start to understand your own intention, it's like things really click. So again, I believe the archetypes you chose when you're born are the perfect combination to help support you in doing your purpose work or the mission that you chose and the way you wanted to play and expand in this lifetime. And as you uncover more of it, you start to uncover more of your purpose and potential. And I love to connect it to play and exploring. And it just feels more light and fun to me, and that's just me. But so we're always speaking the language of our archetypes, as I said a little bit before, and it's like as they start to come through, it's really interesting. Things just start to really make sense. Like when I figured out that my husband had the father archetype, I just was like, wow, he fathers everything. He fathers the kids, he fathers the chickens. Like people will call him Uncle Ronnie because he just has that connection to people. He fathers his employees. So it just, when you see it, it starts to show up everywhere. And because I've been working with and studying, and I feel so connected to this field when I'm teaching and talking to people, there's this energetic connection that happens, and people feel more plugged in and able to start to connect to your own archetypes. One of the things that came through very strongly yesterday morning about such the importance of the archetypes, even right now more than ever. So look at what's going on in the world, right? There's this contrast in people having of people's beliefs, people coming and sharing and being really all these different beliefs and thoughts and knowings, and the world is changing. There's struggles and there's battles as all of these things are trying to come out and change. And one of the things, though, when you start to understand archetypes, is you start to have a little more understanding and compassion for other people's way of thinking and beliefs. And so, if, say, someone has the advocate archetype, or perhaps a rebel, or one of those kind of archetypes, you might be that person that feels really strongly called to be out on the front lines and marching for some of these things that are up, and more and more things coming up all the time. But, you might feel called to that, where someone that has, for myself, I have the guide archetype. And so as the guide, I'm a teacher. So the role I might play in that, if I felt called to share about it, might be more of a teaching role and not necessarily going to a march or a rally. And so understanding that we are not here to fill all roles. We are here to kind of understand what really feels good for us, and to respect and honor other people's calling, other people's belief, other people's thoughts and opinions, all of it equally. And that's really a big connection to the archetypes that was coming through, of really creating that compassion and understanding for ourselves and others. So let's see. So One other thing, so I mentioned a little bit, so this is kind of feeding a little bit more into tomorrow, but I mentioned about the queen archetype, and actually this kind of feeds into what I was just saying. So when I found out I had the queen archetype, it was, I don't know, probably within a few years I realized that my oldest daughter very clearly had the queen archetype. And then when my granddaughter came along, she very clearly had it. And one of the good things about realizing that my daughter had the queen archetype, yes, we need to honor each other now, absolutely, more than ever. So when I understood that my daughter and I both had the queen archetype, it made me understand, oh, maybe this is why sometimes we might butt heads or things like that. And it gave me more compassion and understanding. And I think her for me as well. And then when my granddaughter, when her daughter was born, she had the queen archetype. And then a few years ago, I was sitting talking to my mother. I had her at an eye appointment, and she was sitting in this chair at the hospital waiting, and I looked at her and I realized she was the queen too. And I said, oh my God, I said, Mom, you have the queen archetype. And she looked at me and she goes, yes. I said, do you think Grandma had that queen archetype? She's like, oh yes. So they do run in, we have the royal family over here. But no, just all kidding aside, it's interesting how it does tend to run in families. I talked to somebody a while ago, and she had the judge archetype, and she saw the judge in both of her parents. So, and by the way, so I said, I'm the queen, and my husband has the knight, and my oldest daughter, that's the queen. Her husband is also a knight. So, and I always liked fairy tales when I was a child, and now I know why. Sometimes too, as I said before, sometimes we reject our archetypes, maybe because our family didn't really feel that it was had a place in there. So there was a story about this cosmetic surgeon that had the artist archetype, but it was not acceptable in his family. And so he ended up kind of finagling himself into trying to make himself work in a role that suited his family, and he ended up in cosmetic surgery. And so it never quite resonated for him because it really wasn't the heartfelt place for his artistry come through, even though he could do a lovely job there. But part of it, he wasn't quite allowing all of himself to really be expressed through it. And it's not against, another archetype that might be good, I guess, if you're a cosmetic surgeon is the master, right? To be able to master and hone your craft. But this doctor he was trying to fit in someone else's box. And so it felt like it didn't really fully satisfy him because he wasn't really fully owning a part of himself. But when you really are able to start to tap in and tune into your own archetype, because all of your archetypes have so much power and potential in your life, any single one that you shut down, consciously or unconsciously, it has an effect. And so I had a conversation with a woman a couple of years ago, a business owner. She had a lovely business plan, a business name, delicious food, really, she had a vision for her business, so many things. And but she was feeling kind of exhausted and burnt out, and it was affecting her business. It seemed like her relationship and even her personal life. And she just seemed like she was kind of working harder, but there was some fun missing. And as we talked a little bit, all of a sudden it started to come out. I saw her energy shift, and she started talking about things in her past. And I realized she had the free spirit archetype, and she had totally been squelching this because that was not part of being a good business owner in her mind, or she needed to put that aside so she could create her business. But it was actually having the opposite. It was affecting her business in a negative way, and it was literally sucking her energy to try to not be a part of herself. And so for her to, and it just was like her energy just totally lit up when she saw that part of herself, like when she was remembering that part of herself. So it was like her energy really, really shifted, and it's so powerful. So if you look at different like flamboyant people per se, or maybe flamboyant, or people that are really owning parts of their archetypes or their archetypes in a strong way. Think of like Madonna or Cher, or Michael Jackson, or Elton John. Like they're kind of really bringing their archetypes and bringing them into living color, into life in a very powerful way. Of course, you know, that's not what, we're not all meant to have these powerful, flamboyant, maybe in the public archetypes, but any single one of your archetypes holds tremendous power. If you think of Gandhi, right? You know, when he really stepped into like that martyr archetype, that was one of his archetypes, and every archetype has light and shadow, and he really brought that into the light when he realized what he stood for, and he stood by that, and it made such a huge, powerful, you know, change really in the world, a lasting change. So again, as you, many people are unconscious of their archetypes, but it's so powerful to know when you start to uncover your archetypes, and you also influence the energy of those archetypes and start to evolve them. So let's see. Let me see any other. If anybody has any questions, I'll scroll down. If anybody has questions or thoughts. I think I just got a little bit more here to share. Like I said, the original work I started teaching and learning about was from Carolyn Mace, and I think some of her stuff came originally from Carl Jung. And so really just, you can think of the archetypes as tools, vehicles to learn and grow and kind of have our life lessons and experiences. There are 4, so there's 12 archetypes primary that everyone has, and then there's other influencers, but there's 4 that we all have, which I'll be talking about a little bit more on day 3. Tomorrow we're going to start to look at how to uncover and discover more of your own archetypes. And as I said, they are important to know because everyone has them, and for most people, they're running the show, literally unconsciously in the background, and they influence every single thing of your life, every thought, word, deed, action. You know, I've done like courses of things, and they're like, what's your big why? So when you know your archetypes, at least you have a lot more ideas of your whys, what's underneath there. And so when I'm thinking about something, making a choice, right, my archetypes are weighing in. So my camping has come in a few times, and my husband likes to joke, oh, you know, I know you like a hotel and a comfy, cushy life, you know, my queen, my hedonist, whatever. But I have the adventurer. Okay, I'll look at that question in a minute. So I have the adventurer. So yeah, I like the hotel, and I have the hedonist, so give me, you know, delicious food and all that stuff. But if camping is going to be an adventure, I'm going to go because I love adventures. So if it's going to be an adventure, that's going to be your sales pitch. So if my husband wants me to go camping, he can just turn it into an adventure if that's something he wants me to do, because that's something that's going to appeal to my archetype. Okay. So question, where would you find a list of the 64 types? 64 types, there's a lot more. There's actually thousands of archetypes. I actually posted a link in the top of this live. It's a free link from Carolyn Mace. It should be at the top of the live. There's a link there, and you can click on that and go and just start to check it out. Once I'm done this live, you can take a look and just get a piece of paper and scroll through. There's not even all of them there, but you can start to get some ideas, or if something kind of like pops into your head, just write down what your thoughts are. You know, if you have children, do you feel like you have a mother archetype or a father archetype, or are you a teacher? Are you a healer? I mean, there's like, you just start with a starting point and kind of go from there and just see what kind of starts to come through. So like I said, I posted a link to the list, and tomorrow we're going to go more deeper into to how to uncover the archetypes. But when you start to understand even one of them, and it's like, wow, that's one of my archetypes, and you start to own them and claim them, and the more you uncover and work and play with them, and you just realize how perfect they are, and they're really connected to the things that you love doing, and you're having fun just for being yourself. And this starts to create a powerful ripple effect in your energy, right? Because everything is energy. And we're, like I said about the business owner I talked about earlier, I actually drove by her business a year later with one of my friends looking for a place to have a cup of tea. And as the place we were going to go to was closed, and we rode by this other business, and I looked over and it looked kind of quiet there, and I hadn't said anything to my friend, and she said, I went in there once a while ago, but something just didn't feel right. The vibe felt off, and so we didn't go there. I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because I'd had that conversation about that woman's free spirit. Hi, Donna. Hi, Christina. So as I said, yes, they changed. Let me just see if there's any comments I'm missing. The list makes a lot of sense. Awesome. So, all right. So really there are thousands of archetypes to choose from. It could be a lot, but just go in and start to just have fun with it. Play, be curious, write some things down. Like I said, on the third day, we're going to talk about four archetypes that everyone has. But tomorrow, again, we're going to start to go over and kind of help tune you into even which archetype or archetypes want to work with you right now. At the end of the last course that I just taught, the Embrace Your Archetypes, earlier this year, it was interesting. Like, people were kind of surprised at some of the archetypes that came up and came through, but then they realized how powerful they were. I also posted a link in the comments above for the course, which I'm just opening the doors to today. I'm excited about my brand new sales page for it. It's called Embrace Your Archetypes, and it's really a powerful course. It's a 9-week journey, or 9 lessons. It's actually going to stretch out a little more than 9 weeks. It includes a couple of really powerful bonuses. One is an archetype chakra balance meditation, which calls on the Divine Mother and the Divine Child to introduce you to your circle of 12 archetypes. And then there's energy healing to align your chakras. So it's like an energetic connection, help tune you in, connect to you, and say yes to your archetypes. And then there's a calling back all of you activation, because I mentioned earlier, sometimes we kind of leave parts of ourselves off to the side or don't acknowledge it. So there's a very powerful, another archetypes bonus activation for that. And then right now, until the 11th, is an extra VIP bonus, which is for free when people register. There's painful, 4-month and 8-month. So check out the link and feel free to post if you have any questions or anything. And let me think, is there anything else? All right, thanks, Sherry. I appreciate that, the great explanation. Thank you. So it was fun. Tomorrow I will be back, same bat time. Okay, teacher, rebel, mom, warrior came for me by you talking. Yeah, write those down. So rebel and warrior. So cool. Yeah, write those down. I love it, because once we start to like kind of connect and even acknowledge it, it starts to create more threads and pathways, and it starts to build this really beautiful connection. So a connection to yourself, right? And a connection to each other. So feeling called to just bring my hands in front of my heart and to honor each of you guys for coming on today, to honoring myself, to honor anybody that's watching this later. Let's just end. Close your eyes, take a breath in and out, and just send an invitation to your archetypes, whatever archetypes are ready, willing, wanting to show themselves, to be acknowledged and to be seen, right? I said before about like children and play, our archetypes want to be seen and acknowledged. So let's open our hearts, our minds, our souls, and invite our archetypes to start showing themselves to us. Awesome. And thanks for joining me. And again, I will be sending out the replay. The link is up top. Links for both things I mentioned are up top. And have a fabulous rest of your day or night or whatever your time zone is, because it's so cool. This group is growing, and I know we got people in here from Australia, so it is like 6:41 in the AM tomorrow there. Tomorrow being Tuesday. So, all right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, great night.